was a night of royal glamour and celebration, but what happened on New Year's Eve sent shockwaves far beyond the palace walls. King Charles, the monarch entrusted with carrying the legacy of his mother, Queen Elizabeth II, was hosting an intimate gathering for the family and close friends. The occasion, meant to usher in the new year with hope and harmony, took a dramatic and unexpected turn. At first, the evening unfolded just as one would expect. Grand decorations, laughter echoing through historic halls, and a carefully curated guest list reflecting the close-knit inner circle of the royals. But behind the sparkle of champagne glasses and the hum of cheerful chatter, there was an undercurrent of tension. For months, the royal family had been navigating a minefield of controversies surrounding Prince Harry. His explosive memoir, candid interviews, and ongoing estrangement from key family members had created a storm of speculation. The guests were still settling into the festivities when the unthinkable happened. Without any formal announcement or hint of his intentions, Prince Harry appeared at the entrance. His arrival was as unexpected as it was polarizing. Dressed in understated elegance, he stepped into the room with a calm demeanor that masked the waves his presence was sure to create. Gasps echoed through the hall as the room fell silent. All eyes darted toward King Charles, whose expression was impossible to ignore. He froze, his usual poise visibly faltering. For a fleeting moment, it seemed as though he might collect himself, but then the reality of the situation settled in. Here was his son, the man who had publicly criticized the monarchy, standing before him on a night that was supposed to symbolize unity and fresh beginnings. What came next was a mix of disbelief and awkward attempts to diffuse the palpable tension. Prince Harry, appearing composed but slightly hesitant, moved forward to greet his father. Meanwhile, whispers rippled among the other guests. Was this a peace offering or something more calculated? As King Charles extended a hand to Harry, those closest to the exchange noticed the king's demeanor had shifted. Though outwardly cordial, there was an unmistakable strain. The air in the room grew heavier, setting the stage for the moment that no one could have predicted. But this was only the beginning of a night that would leave the royal family and the world grappling for answers. The setup. New Year's Eve at the palace. New Year's Eve at the royal palace was nothing short of magical. The grand halls were adorned with shimmering lights, elegant floral arrangements, and historic tapestries that seemed to come alive under the glow of chandeliers. It was a carefully orchestrated evening designed to reflect tradition and grace, two pillars of the monarchy that King Charles had been determined to uphold since ascending the throne. The guest list was intimate, reserved for close family members and a few trusted friends. Notably absent were Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, whose strained relationship with the royal family had dominated headlines in recent years. The couple's absence was expected, and for many, it provided a sense of relief. The night was intended to be about unity, free from the controversies that had plagued the monarchy over the past year. As the evening progressed, conversations flowed easily among the attendees. King Charles, ever the dignified host, made his rounds, exchanging pleasantries and sharing fond memories of the year past. Queen Consort Camilla remained at his side, her presence warm and reassuring. Meanwhile, other senior royals, including Prince William and Princess Catherine, mingled with guests, their smiles masking the weight of their roles. Yet, beneath the polished surface, there were whispers. Tensions within the royal family had not gone unnoticed, and speculation about the future continued to linger like a shadow over the festivities. Still, the evening carried on. Toasts were raised, laughter filled the air, and the countdown to midnight approached. For a brief moment, it seemed as though the family had managed to put aside their differences, if only for one night. Then, the unexpected happened. A sudden murmur near the entrance caused heads to turn. The staff, usually composed and unflappable, appeared momentarily flustered. Slowly, the reason became clear. A figure stepped through the grand doorway. one that no one had anticipated seeing that night: Prince Harry. "Who were yards away from us in the terrace this morning," Prince Harry muttered. His arrival was unannounced and startling, interrupting the carefully planned evening. The festive atmosphere shifted, and an uneasy silence spread across the room. Some guests exchanged glances, while others looked directly at King Charles. The king's expression, calm just moments before, tightened with visible tension. Harry's unexpected appearance had changed everything. The night, once predictable and serene, had taken an unforeseen turn. And as the guests braced themselves for what might come next, the monarchy's fractures seemed closer to the surface than ever before. Prince Harry's surprise appearance. Prince Harry's arrival at the palace that evening was as unexpected as it was dramatic. No one had anticipated seeing him, least of all at such a carefully curated event. His decision to attend, without prior notice, sent ripples of shock through the room. Guests who had been laughing and exchanging cheerful conversation moments earlier now stood frozen, their expressions a mixture of curiosity and disbelief. Dressed in a tailored suit and exuding a calm confidence, Harry walked in with a quiet yet unmistakable presence. The symbolism of his unannounced arrival wasn't lost on anyone. In the wake of his explosive revelations about royal life, Harry's relationship with his family had become a subject of global scrutiny. Tensions with King Charles and Prince William had reached a breaking point, with rumors of private arguments and deep misunderstandings dominating headlines. As he made his way into the room, the energy shifted. Some guests exchanged hushed whispers, unsure how to react. Others avoided eye contact entirely, clearly uneasy about what his presence might mean. The royal family, known for their poise and ability to maintain a united front, suddenly found themselves caught off guard. It was clear that this wasn't part of the evening's plan. King Charles, standing near the center of the room, turned toward the commotion. For a moment, his expression softened, as though seeing his son stirred something deeper within him. But just as quickly, that emotion was replaced by a visible tension. The weight of their unresolved issues hung heavily in the air. It was a rare and raw moment for a man who had spent his life adhering to the rigid expectations of monarchy. Harry approached his father with measured steps, offering a polite but reserved nod. Those closest to the king noticed the subtle strain in his demeanor. Charles extended his hand in greeting, but his usual grace seemed to falter. The brief exchange, though outwardly civil, was undeniably charged. Prince William, standing nearby, watched the interaction closely, his expression unreadable. The room remained silent, the tension almost palpable. This wasn't just a family reunion. It was the collision of public and private struggles playing out before an audience. While Harry's intentions remained unclear, one thing was certain: his unexpected appearance had set the stage for a night that no one would forget. The emotional shock, King Charles's reaction. The moment Prince Harry stepped forward to greet King Charles, the atmosphere in the room shifted from tense silence to something far more emotionally charged. Charles, a man known for maintaining his composure even in the most challenging circumstances, appeared visibly shaken. The initial handshake between father and son, though brief, seemed to hold the weight of years of unresolved conflict. The king's face betrayed a complexity of emotions: shock, perhaps a flicker of hope, but most prominently, stress. Those closest to him later described how his hands trembled ever so slightly as he exchanged pleasantries with Harry. Despite his efforts to project calmness, it was clear that the unexpected encounter had taken a toll on him. The strain of holding together the monarchy while navigating personal heartbreak was written in the lines of his face. The other members of the royal family looked on, each processing the situation in their own way. Prince William stood to one side, his jaw tight and his posture rigid. While outwardly composed, His expression suggested that he was bracing for a potential escalation. Queen consort Camilla, ever the steady presence, suddenly moved closer to Charles, as if ready to provide silent support if needed. "Thank you." As the brief exchange concluded, Harry stepped back, allowing his father a moment to breathe. But the encounter had already set a chain reaction in motion. Charles, typically measured and deliberate, seemed increasingly uneasy. He reached for a glass of water, his movements slower and less steady than usual. Observant guests began to notice that something was off. Whispers once again filled the room, this time tinged with genuine concern. The king attempted to continue the evening, but his efforts were visibly strained. He engaged in conversation with a few guests, though his words came haltingly, and his attention seemed to drift. Those who knew him well could tell he was pushing himself beyond his limits. The emotional shock of Harry's appearance, coupled with the physical toll of the stress, was becoming too much to bear. Finally, as the evening wore on, Charles's composure faltered entirely. His breathing grew shallow, and his steps became unsteady. Then, without warning, he collapsed, sending a wave of panic through the room. In an instant, the celebratory atmosphere dissolved, replaced by chaos and fear. What had begun as a night of hope and reconciliation had now spiraled into a moment of crisis. The collapse. What happened? The sight of King Charles collapsing in the middle of the New Year's Eve gathering sent shockwaves through the room. One moment, he was standing among the guests, trying to maintain his composure. The next, he crumpled to the floor, leaving everyone frozen in disbelief. For a split second, the room was eerily silent as those present tried to process what had just happened. The first to react were members of the king's personal staff who rushed to his side. Queen consort Camilla quickly knelt beside him, her face etched with concern as she tried to rouse him. Guests who had been standing nearby instinctively stepped back, their expressions a mixture of fear and confusion. Prince Harry, who had been at the center of the evening's tension, stood rooted to the spot, his calm demeanor giving way to visible worry. The initial confusion gave way to chaos as aides called for medical assistance. A physician, always present at royal events for emergencies, hurried to assess the king's condition. The gathering that had moments earlier been filled with festive chatter was now a flurry of activity. Guests whispered anxiously among themselves. Was it exhaustion, stress, or something more serious? Witnesses described the king as pale and unresponsive at first. The physician quickly instructed the staff to elevate his legs and check his vitals. After what felt like an eternity, Charles began to regain consciousness, though he appeared weak and disoriented. His first words were soft and barely audible, but they reassured those around him that he was regaining his bearings. Meanwhile, the rest of the royal family hovered nearby, their concern evident. Prince William, typically composed under pressure, appeared shaken as he conferred with aides to ensure his father received immediate care. Harry, though keeping his distance, looked visibly distressed, his expression suggesting that he understood the gravity of the situation. The guests were quietly escorted from the room to allow the king privacy and space to recover. Medical professionals advised against continuing the evening's festivities, and the decision was made to cancel the event. As the king was helped to his quarters for further evaluation, the incident left a lingering unease among everyone present. This wasn't just a personal health scare. It felt like a manifestation of the pressures weighing on the monarchy itself. The collapse marked the end of what was supposed to be a hopeful beginning, and raised questions about the toll these tensions were truly taking on the family. Medical concerns and speculation. As King Charles was escorted to his private quarters to recover, speculation about the cause of his collapse spread rapidly, both among the remaining guests and in the media as news began to leak. Within hours, headlines around the world carried the shocking story. Was it the stress of Harry's surprise appearance? The weight of royal responsibilities? Or perhaps an underlying health issue that had gone unnoticed? Medical experts were quick to weigh in. While no official statement was released immediately, the combination of visible strain and the sudden nature of the collapse suggested that stress and exhaustion were likely contributors. Those close to the king acknowledged that the pressures of the past year had been immense. From assuming the throne after the passing of Queen Elizabeth II to navigating a fractured spectacle, the situation had been under constant scrutiny. This wasn't just an ordinary health scare. It was the embodiment of a life lived under relentless pressure. Behind the palace walls, medical staff continued to monitor the king closely. Reports later hinted that dehydration and fatigue may have played a role. It was New Year's Eve, after all, and the long hours of hosting, combined with the unexpected emotional shock of seeing Prince Harry, seemed to have pushed Charles beyond his limits. However, there was also concern about the possibility of an underlying condition, as rumors swirled that the king's health had been quietly declining in recent months. Within the royal family, the incident intensified existing tensions. Prince William, ever the pragmatist, reportedly questioned the wisdom of continuing public appearances without prioritizing Charles's health. Queen Consort Camilla, deeply worried, stayed by his side throughout the night, while other senior royals tried to maintain a semblance of calm amid the unfolding chaos. Prince Harry's role in the evening also became a topic of quiet debate. While some viewed his presence as a poorly timed disruption, others wondered if his arrival had been an attempt to bridge the divide, a move that had inadvertently gone terribly wrong. As the world watched, the palace maintained its characteristic silence, offering only a brief statement that King Charles was resting comfortably and in good spirits. Yet the lack of detail only fueled further speculation. What did this incident mean for the future of the monarchy? And more urgently, what did it say about the personal toll of leading one of the world's most closely watched families? For now, those answers remained elusive, leaving both the public and the royal family with an uneasy sense that this was far from the end of the story. The family's reaction: fallout from Harry's presence. In the wake of King Charles's collapse, the royal family found themselves at a crossroads, grappling with both immediate concerns and deeper, unresolved tensions. The fallout from Prince Harry's unexpected appearance was undeniable. While some members of the family attempted to focus on Charles's recovery, the presence of Harry reignited long-standing divisions that could no longer be ignored. Prince William's reaction was perhaps the most scrutinized. Known for his unwavering dedication to duty, William had always tried to maintain a united front for the sake of the monarchy. But those close to him later described how the events of the evening had pushed him to his limits. The sight of his father collapsing, coupled with Harry's unannounced arrival, left him visibly shaken. Although he refrained from confronting Harry directly during the gathering, the tension between the brothers was evident to all who were present. To William, Harry's timing felt like more than a coincidence. It was a calculated decision that risked destabilizing an already fragile situation. Whether or not that was Harry's intention, the impact was undeniable. William, ever protective of his father, later expressed frustration to close aides, questioning why Harry would choose such a delicate moment to make his appearance. Queen Consort Camilla, on the other hand, took a more measured approach. Her focus remained on Charles, ensuring that he was comfortable and cared for as he rested. While she avoided engaging in the speculation that surrounded Harry's motives, those who witnessed her interactions that night noted a quiet resolve in her demeanor. Camilla, often seen as a stabilizing presence within the family, seemed determined to shield Charles from any further strain. Harry, meanwhile, found himself in an awkward position. His intentions for the evening remained unclear. Was he genuinely seeking reconciliation, or had he underestimated the emotional weight of his presence? After Charles's collapse, Harry reportedly stayed on the periphery, avoiding direct confrontation with his family members. Some saw this as a sign of respect, while others viewed it as an attempt to avoid responsibility for the evening's upheaval. As the evening drew to a close, it became clear that the rift within the family was far from healed. While the night had begun as a celebration, it ended as a stark reminder of the deep divides that continue to challenge the monarchy. For the royal family, the fallout from Harry's appearance wasn't just personal. It was a moment that underscored the fragile balance they are striving to maintain. Public and media response. News of King Charles's collapse and Prince Harry's surprise appearance spread like wildfire, dominating headlines and social media feeds within hours. For a public already captivated by the ongoing drama within the royal family, this unexpected turn of events fueled endless speculation and debate. The instant became a global talking point, with opinions ranging from sympathy to outright criticism of the monarchy's struggles. Major news outlets scrambled to cover the story, piecing together accounts from sources inside the palace. Some reports focused on the king's health, emphasizing the potential risks of his demanding schedule and the emotional toll of his new role. Others zeroed in on Harry's unannounced arrival, framing it as the spark that ignited the evening's dramatic events. Headlines played up the tension, family feud at the palace, and a night of royal chaos. Social media, as expected, erupted with commentary. Hashtags like royal drama and Harry and Charles trended worldwide as users shared their takes on what had transpired. Many expressed concern for King Charles, noting the visible strain he had been under since ascending the throne. Messages of support poured in, with fans and well-wishers urging the king to prioritize his health. Others, however, used the moment to criticize the monarchy itself, questioning whether the institution could withstand the ongoing family turmoil. Prince Harry's role in the evening quickly became the most polarizing aspect of the story. His supporters praised his courage for showing up, interpreting his presence as an olive branch extended toward reconciliation. Critics, however, viewed his decision to attend as ill-timed, accusing him of exacerbating the already fragile dynamics within the royal family. Memes and debates flooded online platforms, with users dissecting every possible motivation behind Harry's actions. The palace, true to its reputation, maintained a stoic silence. A brief statement confirmed that King Charles was recovering and in good spirits, but it offered no further details about the events of the evening. This lack of information only fueled speculation, leaving the public to fill in the gaps with their own theories. The incident became yet another chapter in the unfolding saga of the royal family, a story of tradition clashing with modern challenges, personal grievances played out on a global stage, and a monarchy striving to maintain its relevance. For many, it was a stark reminder that even the most powerful families are not immune to the complexities of human relationships. Behind the scenes, what's next for the royals? As the dust began to settle from the dramatic events of New Year's Eve, the royal family faced a sobering reality. The night had revealed just how fragile their unity truly was. Behind the scenes, discussions about the path forward became unavoidable. The collapse of King Charles, compounded by the presence of Prince Harry, had turned what should have been a festive occasion into a moment of reckoning for the monarchy. For King Charles, the immediate focus was on recovery. Medical advisors strongly recommended that he scale back his engagements and prioritize his health in the coming months. While Charles was known for his dedication to duty, those closest to him insisted that this scare was a wake-up call. The pressures of balancing his new role as king with the personal challenges of family dynamics had proven overwhelming. Advisors within the palace began quietly drafting plans to redistribute some of his responsibilities to senior royals, ensuring the continuity of the monarchy without overburdening him. Meanwhile, the incident also prompted introspection among the rest of the family. Prince William, who had long been positioned as the monarchy's future, emerged as a central figure in these conversations. His steady demeanor and focus on preserving the institution made him an obvious choice to shoulder more responsibilities. However, the strain of his relationship with Harry loomed large, casting a shadow over any potential progress. Harry's role in the family's future became a topic of intense debate. Some within the palace reportedly viewed the evening as an opportunity for reconciliation, suggesting that his willingness to show up uninvited was a sign of lingering ties to the family. Others, however, saw his presence as a distraction, one that only deepened existing fractures. Adam soon realized that neither side seemed ready to make. Outside the immediate family, advisors grappled with the broader implications for the monarchy's public image. The events of the evening had amplified perceptions of dysfunction, threatening to erode the carefully crafted image of stability that the royal family had worked so hard to maintain. Strategists began brainstorming ways to shift the narrative, emphasizing themes of resilience and unity, while subtly addressing the health concerns surrounding King Charles. As the royal family moved forward, one thing became clear. The events of New Year's Eve were not just an isolated incident, they were a turning point, one that would force the monarchy to confront its vulnerabilities and redefine its path in an increasingly scrutinizing world. A moment that shook the monarchy. The events of New Year's Eve will likely go down as one of the most dramatic moments in the modern history of the British monarchy. What began as a celebration ended in chaos, exposing the deep fractures within the royal family and raising critical questions about their future. For King Charles, Prince Harry, and the rest of the royal household, it was a night that would linger in public memory for years to come. King Charles's health scare was a stark reminder of the immense pressures that come with leading the monarchy. In the months since Queen Elizabeth's passing, Charles had taken on the enormous task of reshaping the institution in his image. However, the emotional weight of family tensions, combined with the physical demands of his role, culminated in a moment of vulnerability that no one could ignore. It was clear that even the most resilient figures are not immune to the toll of personal and professional strain. For Prince Harry, his unannounced appearance at the gathering cast him back into the spotlight, both as a polarizing figure within the family and as someone deeply tied to its ongoing narrative. Whether his intentions were rooted in reconciliation or simply a personal choice, his presence became a flashpoint for speculation. Some saw it as a bridge being tentatively built, while others viewed it as yet another crack in the foundation of the monarchy. The rest of the royal family, too, found themselves navigating uncharted territory. The roles of Prince William and Queen Consort Camilla came under even greater scrutiny as the public looked to them for stability and leadership. Their ability to manage both the internal dynamics of the family and the external pressures of public opinion would prove crucial in the coming months. Public reaction to the night's events revealed the complex relationship people have with the monarchy. While some expressed sympathy for Charles and his family, others used the incident to critique the institution's relevance in a modern world. It became a moment of reflection, not just for the royals, but for the nation and the world watching them. Ultimately, New Year's Eve was more than just a health scare or a family gathering gone awry. It was a turning point that highlighted the fragility and humanity of one of the world's most famous families. The story of that night didn't end when the guests left, or when Charles began to recover. It became a defining chapter in the ongoing saga of the British monarchy, leaving everyone to wonder what comes next. 2024 was a defining year for the British royal family. King Charles III focused on sustainability and strengthening Commonwealth ties, while Queen Camilla embraced a more active public role, championing charitable causes. The Prince and Princess of Wales expanded their influence, with William leading global environmental initiatives and Catherine focusing on mental health and early childhood development. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle continued their public and private ventures, remaining in the spotlight as they navigated their complex relationship with the monarchy. But I think it's also time to consider, in 2025, the monarchy is expected to streamline further under King Charles, reflecting a modern and more focused royal structure. Prince George, turning 12, may begin to take on a more visible role, signaling early preparations for his future as a key figure in the royal lineage. The family will also likely focus on strengthening international alliances and addressing domestic challenges to maintain their relevance. Balancing tradition with evolving expectations, 2025 will be a year of adaptation and careful diplomacy for the royal family.